Hey everybody, Norm over here at the Norm's Rare Guitars podcast. And I've got two of my very favorite people, actually one of my very favorite people and one of my very favorite people. So I got Freebo and Alice Howe. And Alice is definitely one of my favorite people. Freebo, I love Freebo, but Freebo is Freebo. And by the way, you know, I was talking to a buddy of mine, Dweezil Zappa. And I said to him, you know, my folks named me Norman. I said, what the hell were you thinking when you named me Norman? Well, Freebo? No. What's the deal with that name?
We'll talk about that later.
No. We're going to talk about it right now, buddy. Speak to me.
Okay. Acid Trip 1967 is all I got to say.
There you go. So
Wow.
drugs were prevalent, and
They were, absolutely.
But I will say this, Freebo, what is it with you and redheads? You know, you go from Bonnie Raitt to Alice Howe, two of the greatest singer-songwriters. They both happen to be redheads. What's the deal?
Coincidence, you know, it just kind of happened. There was a long gap in between, really.
Yeah?
I'm very proud to be in that club. I'll take that any day.
That's a really good club. And, you know, I just want to say that about 2 weeks ago, we had a show for the Midnight Mission with David.
Crosby.
Crosby. I was going to say Cassidy. No, David Crosby, you know, from Crosby, Stills and Nash. And David is, like, terrific.
Yeah.
Yep. Al
Jesse
Jardine
Colin
was
Young.
killer. Jesse Colin Young. We had Lawrence
Lee.
Struber, Albert Lee, all these other
Amazing.
people that were really fantastic. And Freebo and Alice Howe played. And it was for the homeless. And these guys are really good people and are trying to help support those that are in need. Mm-hmm. And they have a big heart as well as being a big talent. And they really were one of the really glimmering moments at the show. They really knocked me out. And I really wanted you to play more tunes. But there were so many people in that lineup there.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
it
There
was
must
a
have
big
been
night.
20 acts.
Yes.
And it was really fantastic.
So we got to do a beautiful duet on Love Has No Pride, a song that I recorded with Bonnie Raitt back in 1972. And back then it was just obviously her singing and me playing bass, but doing a duet with Alice was
Love
really
that
cool.
song so much. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me to join you.
It's a pleasure.
Very, very cool. And, you know, a lot of people know Freebo as the bass player, and Freebo is a remarkable bass player, and he is a tuba player, too. And actually, I went to see Freebo and Alice play in Santa Monica for their album release party, and it was pretty spectacular. And when they came out, Freebo was playing tuba, and my buddy Chad Watson, who's also a great bass player. If Freebo's not playing bass, he's got this guy Chad Watson, who's a monster bass
so
player.
good.
But he also plays monster trombone. So when they came out,
Hey, what about me? I was playing the kazoo.
you were playing the kazoo, and it was probably some of the best kazoo playing I've ever heard in my
When
life.
Freebo suggested that we go out as sort of like a New Orleans style little When the Saints Go Marching In, but we did When the Band Goes Marching In.
There you go.
I was like, no, what can I possibly do? I don't play an instrument like that.
Kazoo,
and
Alice.
you can play the kazoo.
Kill
so.
it.
And it was really remarkable kazoo, so I have to say. But it was really cool, and that was just like a start to just kind of come in from left field, knocked everybody out, and then they went into their set, and they really knocked everybody out. And your new
Thank
record that you produced, Freebo, is remarkable with my buddy Fuzzby, and who else played on the record?
Yeah, my new album came out last month, or no, it was in May. I guess
Yeah.
it's over a month ago now.
J.T. Thomas
Yeah.
on keyboards. I played with Bruce Hornsby for for many years,
Yeah.
and John Molo on drums, who also played with Bruce for a long time. And
John Molo is one of my my customers and friends over
John
at
is
the
great.
store.
John's great.
He is a
Yeah.
great guy.
I mean, John's
as well
one
as
of the great
musician.
drummers. We kid about drummers, like drummers not being musicians. There's a lot of jokes about it, but to me, the really fine drummers are the ones who just don't just keep time, but they play the song. They listen to the song. They know where the changes are. They know the transitions.
And Norm, I had never played with a band ever before when I recorded this album, so you can
Is that
imagine
true?
that I was very spoiled. I went from only ever playing just by myself to Freebo bringing in these incredible players and playing bass himself, and I feel like I had to rise to the occasion to
And
play
you
with
did.
such incredible
You
players.
did,
and
absolutely.
I grew a lot through that process. It
Well,
was
you know what's really
cool.
cool, and this is what I do love about these guys, is that they play very lean and clean and simple. So when you do that, there's room for things.
Yeah.
If you crowd everything by overplaying and all that, you can't really add other things. But what they do, and you'll hear them do a couple tunes, is really remarkable. I mean, their harmony is fantastic when they sing together, the way they both play together. When Freebo plays acoustic guitar, which a lot of people don't know that he does, and he's a great player, it's really remarkable. And then when Freebo is playing bass and Alice is playing guitar, it's really terrific. And, you're from Boston, right?
I am,
Alice?
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Born and raised. I don't have the accent to prove it, but I swear I'm from there.
You can do the accent, though, if you need to.
Not on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
okay. All right. We're in California here,
Yeah,
so. But what's kind of cool is that that's an area where there's how many colleges are in Boston?
Yeah, Boston has got so many students, so many universities, great music town. It was really where I wanted to be to start, being serious about my music. There's so many great folk clubs and places where singer-songwriters are really treasured and appreciated. It's got a great history.
And where did you go to school?
I went to school in Western Mass at Smith College, which is a all-women's school in Northampton, Mass. So, yeah.
Wow.
Ask her what she majored in.
Oh, man.
What did you major in?
Thanks, Freebo. I majored in medieval European history.
Oh, well, that's great because it's very easy to get a job doing that. I mean,
thought
you
that it
could
would
go
be-
into any gas station and they'll hire
Totally.
you.
Perfect transition. into
That's what I
music.
was thinking. It would be a good, exactly. Yeah, it would lead me right into songwriting. Actually,
Yeah, you can actually, it's probably one of the only fields where you probably can go into songwriting that's actually steadier and more lucrative than medieval history,
it just fascinates me. I don't know what to tell you, but to me, history is about storytelling. And that's really what it is people telling different versions of whatever they think happened. And so, I don't know, maybe it does have
That's
something
what
in common with
songwriting is, too.
songwriting.
Yeah, it's true.
I studied Spanish, too. I speak Spanish.
You
That's
did?
my practical skill.
Well, all I can tell you about the medieval thing is you got two medieval guys right on each side
know,
of you.
see, it's- I feel
It's
so
like
at home.
directly right out of the home. You got me and Freebo. They let us out. At the cafeteria. You come in for lunch. Freebo and I escaped, and we came in here with Alice. We could do a couple tunes.
We
So,
surrounded her. Look at this.
It's okay.
it's a geezer
Those are good
fest with
company.
a beautiful young child in between us. And
Thanks, Norm.
so, Freebo, let me just go back with the Bonnie thing with you, because when did you start with that? Because that's, did you know each other from school or what?
No, I was playing in a band in Philadelphia called the Edison Electric Band. And a fellow named Dick Waterman, who really was instrumental in bringing up and you might say discovering, but rediscovering and bringing them into the fray, into the public. People like Son House, Mississippi, Fred McDowell, Arthur Big Boy Crudup.
Cool.
And he went down south, found these people, and got them working and got them to be appreciated for who they were. And it turns out that he had a young girlfriend at the time named Bonnie Raitt, and Dick was interested in managing the band, the Edison Electric Band. He also managed Buddy Guy and Junior Wells. So our band Edison Electric, we were opening for Procol Harum at one of the psychedelic dungeons in Philadelphia. Philly, the Electric Factory.
A little bit,
Right?
yeah. I mean, I
Probably there.
left a little before all that, but I moved to Miami.
Psychedelic dungeon.
Yeah, there you go.
So
We're back in the medieval days again.
Yeah, it sounds-
Psychedelic the dungeons. There you go. So we were opening for Procol Harum, and Dick came down, and he wanted to bring his girlfriend to see what she thought of the band. And it was an 18-year-old freshman at Radcliffe, Bonnie Raitt, with red hair, and she really liked the band, and she liked the way I played bass, We all became friends, and she and Dick became friends of the band. And I went to Bonnie's first show at a place called the Second Fret in Philadelphia and watched her just struggle, be by herself. Oh, I'm so terrible, I'm awful. Meanwhile, she was wonderful. People loved her. And then I watched her a year later when she played at the Main Point, and she had a brother playing bass. She was much more seasoned. And a year after that, I got a call from her and said, I hear your band's breaking up, and I just got a record deal with Warner Brothers, and I love the way you play bass. I'd like you to come play bass on the record and maybe do some shows with me beforehand. So I learned a couple of her tunes, flew up to Boston, did a guest set, and it was a very smooth transition from the demise of the Edison Electric Band to beginning to play with Bonnie and playing on that first record and playing on 7 records after that and touring the world for 10 years. And those first 3 years we were a duo. And it was
Were
really
you doing a lot of cover tunes, or were you doing?
We did some
most of
cover
them?
tunes. So we did a Joni Mitchell tune, we did a James Taylor tune. I think we did I can't remember them all, but I mean, well, they were all cover tunes, but Bonnie did very few original, but covered like Eric Kaz, Jackson Brown, Paul Siebel. So Bonnie really more of a singer than a songwriter. But what those first 3 years did for me and how it relates to Alice is that, and you were talking about it with Tim Pierce earlier, that you're talking about space. And that, as Lowell George once said to me, Freebo, space is a place. He was trying to tell me, don't play so damn much. But and I'll never forget it. But in playing with Bonnie, just the two of us, it obviously wasn't about me. It was about her, and it was obvious to me that that's what it's about, this beautiful voice and her guitar playing. So my role became that of supporting her on the bass. However, with the space that was there, I could play some little riffs in between. There's different ways to support. I could listen to the vocal. I tend to think melodically, so I could do little counter melodies. And that taught me how to play around on the bass, which is particular sensibility musically, and how to play and how to really appreciate the song. And so now, 40-some years later, playing with Alice as a duo, which we often do, with her playing guitar, me playing bass, I can take what I learned into playing with Bonnie in those duo years with her, and I can go, like say, further up the spiral with what I've learned those years and what I've learned as a songwriter. And so now it's so special to me to be able to do that, to support the vocal, to support the guitar, sing the harmonies when necessary, and be that part of the music. And I relish doing that.
You know, what's really cool is, sometimes I notice when you guys are playing, sometimes you'll lay out and then come back in, and it's just all part of orchestration,
It is
just
orchestration.
building the tune to a crescendo and then dropping it down and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you think about music, I mean, music is, there are 12 notes, right? And the 12 notes are repeated. So it's really, and bass is one note at a time. But what a lot of people don't realize in music, that the space between the notes is really what gives the notes the value.
Right.
You know, I mean, you get guitar shredded. It's all well and good at a certain point, but when you're just inundated with that over and over again, it's after a while, it's like, give me a break. So
It's
I
phrasing.
think it's
Like,
just
we
like
get
life.
it.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
all-
play really fast.
Yeah, we get it. You're a terrific player, but I'm not really enjoying
Well,
it.
that
I'm
was the thing
feeling-
about when you listen to like the old blues players. It was about their phrasing. I mean,
Exactly.
they wasn't
Yeah.
like they had to be great players. They just
Right.
put the note just at the right spot at the right moment, and it wasn't that they could blaze. Some of them maybe could, but some of them maybe couldn't. But the feeling and everything was right there. Then it got to the point where you started hearing some of these guys that could really blaze and do it, and you went, wow, those guys are really good. Then it got to the point where some of these guys were just, all they were doing was blazing, and it was like, fantastic, well, it's great that you can do it. I don't hear the tune, but I mean, other than that, it was a fabulous solo from start to finish.
Right.
Well, and
So-
as, I would create a bumper sticker and say, it's okay to blaze, but don't forget to freeze.
There you go.
my God.
That's it. That's the new T-shirt right here at Norm's Rare Guitars.
How about phrase don't blaze?
Yeah, and that's a good one. And what I really enjoy to bring Alice into this is that when Alice sings, she does exactly that. She phrases. She's not over singing. She's not about the riffs. It's about the melody.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
And about the tone of her voice.
The tone of the
her
voice,
voice
yeah.
is remarkable. And, I'm not really, I'm more of like, when I think about the music that was kind of my first choice. It was more soul and R&B and stuff like that. But what Alice is doing is she's bringing that soulful thing into kind of a folk thing.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
and
you. I'm
it's
trying
so,
to do soul folk.
There-
Trying to make
well,
that a thing.
Well,
It is.
that's what it
You're
is.
doing it.
So, Alice, you play great guitar, but your voice is incredible, and you're with the right guy. Freebo there plays
I
all the
know.
right notes and with the right tone, and even if he pulled out a tuba, he'd play it right. Freebo just produced Alice's record,
Yeah.
and I saw, and it's not out yet, but I'm gonna say I saw the video, and it's a remarkable video. It's really
you.
great, you know.
Thank you.
And you know, I don't know how much you guys spent on the video, but it's very tasteful. And you know, it's not like, you know, you're not in India someplace at you know, flea market and you know, people
We
with
thought about
snakes
that,
and
but
stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
thought
not
about
just
flying to
that
India.
There
Just
were
wasn't
no
in the
flea
budget.
markets available at the time.
yeah. Well,
You know,
so
the fleas are
but-
out to lunch or something.
but the mood was there. So
Thank you.
you know, and it's really tasteful and it's simple and it's just right. It's just done really well, and
you.
I'm sure you guys had a hand in every frame of that video.
Well, I'll tell you something, because Alice won't say it, but there are probably about 50 takes on that, some with Alice playing guitar.
I'm not afraid to say
Some
that.
with her. Okay, well, go ahead, say it then.
I mean, it was happenstance. Freebo and I met this wonderful videographer named Jim Shea. We were down in Nashville for a couple shows, one at the Bluebird Cafe, and we met up with some old friends of Freebo's. And Jim is a wonderful, you know, artist with video. He's done work with Joni Mitchell, Barbara Streisand. He's done videos for people since music videos became a thing,
Wow.
like in the 80s. And he suggested that we do something really simple for my song, What We Got Is Gold, which is a really intimate kind of love song. And he said, let's just take you in the studio and we'll do lots of different angles and, you know, we'll keep it as simple as we possibly can, because it's kind of expensive to get actors and crazy stuff going in
but
there,
you know,
so you
it's
don't really
real.
need it.
It's real.
It's
And
so we
that's-
ended up with something so intimate and just simple and real,
But
like you said.
what's so real about it is that of these 40, 50 takes, there are all sorts of different takes. And generally in video, you splice, you know, you edit different takes, you know, 1 or 2 seconds apart. Some of Alice playing guitar, some walking around. Well, there was one right near the end where it was just her just looking at the camera like this, and it wound up being so compelling with just that one that there was no way to cut away from that. So what this video is, it is literally one take right there, and it's just it's
So
absolutely
how was
amazing.
she looking at the camera, Freebo? Can you do
Yeah,
that?
can you do
I mean,
that?
we
That was
can't
really
on the
beautiful.
podcast. You might not
He
get,
kind
but
of
give me
did a
that
little-
look
She was
again.
kind of just-
See, all right. So
Beautiful.
you can't
It
really
was just
see
like
through
that.
the podcast,
You'll
but
have to watch it.
you're going to have to see the video if you want to see that
And
look.
you can go to alicehowe.com. It's not, well, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but it'll probably coincide with the video coming out. So it's Alice, Howe. Both of my names have silent E's at the
Sound
end.
ease at the end. I noticed that.
And Freebo, you have some social media too. What?
Well, freebomusic.com is my website, and Freebo is my.
What's your middle name?
Well, they asked
Freebo.
for a last name, so I said Freebo. They wanted a middle name, so I said F. But it also, I mean, you can go to, what's my artist page? Just
Oh,
Freebo, I
it's,
guess.
yeah, just
Free-
look for Freebo on Facebook.
Yeah,
and
you'll see it.
I've been
and,
teaching Freebo about social
Yeah,
media.
yeah.
Just ask me about his
There
social
you
media.
go.
That's
Yeah.
safer.
No,
But that's
sure.
where you can find both of our, you know, live dates separately and together, and you know, other info, new stuff we have coming out. So.
And really don't miss them because they are really good live. And, you know, the thing is with this is actually the first of these podcasts. This is the first podcast we're doing really with an acoustic guitar and just singing, and it's real. And if we screw up, we screw up. I kind of,
It's
you
been
know.
known to happen
Yeah, and we
once in a
kind of
while.
leave it. And we did one video on the All Guitar Network. I'll never forget this. In the middle of the video, there was a section where it was to go to a bass solo, and I think Alice came in with the third
forgot.
verse a little bit early. And
Hey!
then
Hey, what about me?
what about my
second.
bass solo? So they looked at each other and they started laughing. They continued to play, but they were cracking up. And I said, we're not taking that out,
No,
man.
you
That
gotta
was
keep
just
those
so
moments
cool
are-
and so real. And that's what I love about, some of the videos we do at the store, some of the stuff we do with the All Guitar Network. We don't want it to be adorned. We want you to hear musicians actually being musicians. It's not, we don't have Pro Tools, we don't have all the fancy reverbs and stuff
Well,
like
and
that.
there's so much. Honestly, I mean, I guess I don't really mean to disparage it, but I will. So much of the new music and so much of what you hear on commercial radio, there's all sorts of pitch control. It's all synthesizers. We'll talk about the weather. So you Google the weather, and now the song is all about little bits and pieces about that's the lyric, and come up with a little riff, and before you know, you have a song. Hey, whether you like it or not. And
Kids these days.
the kids these days. So I
feel like Gabby Hayes.
No, but I think
I hear you, Freebo. I agree.
But what you represent, Norm, and I think what most of your audience represents, and what we want to do is just we want to write good songs, and sing them, and not have to use pitch control, and learn how to play guitar, and learn how to sing, and learn the basics. And then just come from your heart, from your soul, from your spirit, and deliver it and connect and because that's the kind of music that I grew up. I think that's what Bonnie does. It's so effective, and Joan Baez that Alice grew up on, and so many of the greats.
Thank you to my parents for raising me on really
the
good
music. Well, and also like the show must go on. So when stuff happens and things fall apart and things happen, you got to go with it. I mean, some of the best moments with Johnny Carson is when stuff didn't work out that well.
He has a really good story of.
Which one?
Oh, the one at.
The one from the other night?
No. The one where you played the wrong note at that really important
You
show.
played the wrong note?
Only one time, yeah. This is the one
I
time.
played the wrongest note you can possibly play.
That's jazz, pal.
Yeah, well, this was not jazz. This was. I was playing with Bonnie. We were playing at Lincoln Center, and it basically was the new Carnegie Hall. It's where the New York Philharmonic plays. It's really a high-level concert, and the first song we played was I think it was a Jackson Browne song, and Bonnie had always done it in the key of C, but her voice was going a little bit south in the tour, so we had practiced it in B, which is just a half key lower. And it was when some of her Bonnie's little intro, and I come, boom, I come in this really nice little bass glissando, and it's like a really beautiful moment. And so she starts playing the song, and I come in, boom. Well, I forgot that she was playing in B, and I was playing in C, and the B and the C are right next to each other, and basically it's like a, well.
No, that sounds too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about as dissonant as you can get.
And so, boom. And Bonnie and the band looked at me, and I looked at them, and we all burst out laughing because I'm sure I was 50 Shades of Red. And it was one of those moments, it's like there's no hiding. And it was like, this is as bad as it can get. And it was so bad, it was good. And the rest of the show was fantastic. But that was one of those moments you just go,
yep.
Okay.
I remember one, and this is going to kind of date how old I am. Years and years ago, I was playing in Miami with my band, and we were picked to back up Billy Joe Royle, who is actually very good. I don't know if you remember Down in the Boondocks, and he had a tune called I Knew You When, and, with a lot of chord changes and voicings and stuff like that. Anyhow, being the keyboard player in the band, they handed me the record, and I listened to about the first verse or two, and I said, I got it, no problem. And I showed it to the other guys. Well, mid-tune, it modulates up a half step.
No.
And needless to say, Billy Joe Royle had this guy. He was called the Tick. He was kind of a little guy who played a lot of different instruments, but they would bring him in. He would travel with him, and he'd kind of, make sure that things were right, and he'd play whatever instrument was needed on the thing. So we did Down in the Boondocks, and in the middle of the tune, the thing modulated. But we didn't. And then he dropped down to us. We went up to him. And it was kind of a total train wreck. And we were kind of looking at each other like, I was playing organ, so I had something to hide behind. But, if you're there with a guitar, you'd have to hold your guitar up if somebody was throwing something at you. But it was just one of those moments where we all looked at each other, and they were like, Norm,
I love
good
that you
job.
told them what to do.
I said, I got it. So So,
got it.
well,
No problem.
that learned me pretty good. So anyhow, loving you guys' music. Can you do something else for us here so they can
Well,
hear?
thank you. I mean, I've become a songwriter in my recent years, and Alice and I have written some stuff together. But I want to do a song that neither one of us wrote, but it's a beautiful song, and I learned it back when I was playing with Bonnie. And when we were a duo, Bonnie would she'd bring a tune to me, and we'd figure out what to do, and I'd come up with the bass part, and we'd make an arrangement for two people, and eventually take it into the studio with musicians, and those are the records that you hear today. And this is one of those songs that I feel very proud of, that I had something to do with that arrangement, and I've since come up with my own arrangement on my latest record, my new record. So we want to share that with you, and Alice and I, since we've been doing shows together, have come up with a really, really sweet duet. So this is our arrangement of John Prine's beautiful song, Angel from Montgomery. I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child has grown old. Dream of thunder, lightning was a sign. This old house would have burned down such a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just giving me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living's just a hard way to go.
When I was a young girl, I had me a cowboy. He weren't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time ago, and no matter how I tried, the years they just flew by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just giving me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living's just a hard way to go.
There's flies in the kitchen, I hear 'em all a-buzzing, and I ain't done nothing since I woke up today.
How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just giving me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. Yes, it is.
that was really cool, guys. Freebo and Alice Howe, Angel from Montgomery.
Thank you.
Very, very, very cool. So tell me, like, what do you guys have planned? I know you got a lot of stuff, like, in the works, and you're out always traveling, and, we see you when we see you, and we don't see you when we don't see you. What's up?
Good question. It's always in the works. I think that's kind of I do all my own booking, so does Freebo, so we're kind of always trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be, and that sometimes happens a year ahead of time. Like, I'm starting to plan next fall's tour of the UK. I got to go there last year. Freebo came with me, so I'm already planning, like, next October, which is terrifying. But also,
Cool.
the album just came out. Yeah, so the Visions, my new album's out. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. It's you can find it on my website, alicehowe.com. So that's really what I'm promoting right now. I'm just touring whenever I'm out. It's about the new record and just getting the word out. I'm at the top of the folk radio charts right now.
Well,
my
and
song
you should
Twilight was number 4 on the folk radio charts. It's out to blues and Americana radio too now. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time.
And for me, we both do our individual shows, and we do a lot of shows together, and we go to conferences together. So we wind up in the same place together, and we love doing the duets together. And for me, doing my songs and having Alice sing harmonies on them is really cool. And I even have her playing bass on a couple tunes, which is cool. And I get to play bass with her, so I get to do something that I don't do in my own shows, because my own shows I'm playing guitar and singing. So we do a lot of that stuff, and I also do a lot of workshops, and I like to produce. Obviously, I produced Alice's, this record we're talking about, and I like to do a lot of teaching, and I've gotten into speaking, which I'm really enjoying, motivational speaking, and using my own story, and through story and song, and hopefully inspiring other people to find a greater joy. So, what we do is we create our own reality, and we are our own agents and our own record companies. And hey, if any of you have any ideas, if you like what we do, give Norm a call or an
Let
email.
us
There you
know.
go. That's the way it's done these
Yeah.
days.
No, it's true.
It's
It really
true.
is true. And
It's all
and
through
you go where
relationships
you
and-
wanted. Relationships.
Totally.
And I'll tell you something, and this is fortunate and unfortunate, but back in the days of the Village in New York and all that, man, if you guys were there at that time, you guys
Trust
would be
me.
the biggest thing ever.
I feel like I was
And-
born in the wrong decade. Norm.
Yeah, well, but you're keeping it alive for right now.
thank
And you're keeping a couple geezers very happy over here, so it's very cool. And but I got to say, it's like I've been trying to. I would love somebody like a Paul Simon to hear you guys, or Bob Dylan, or one of those kind of guys, because they would appreciate exactly where you guys are coming from. And it's very musically, it's very intelligent with voicings and chord changes and cool stuff. Harmony is beautiful. The vocals are both beautiful from both of you guys. And,
you, Norm.
it's real. So that's the thing that I love the most about it. This is totally unenhanced. You can't get a worse sound system or anything. We have
This
gone
is great.
to
Come on.
every expense to come up with a crappy sound system for you guys. But,
Thank you, Norm. Appreciate that.
that's how you know that people are really good, when you can perform with what we've got and make it sound as good as you
Thank you.
can.
Well,
So
Paul, if you're listening, Bob, if you're listening, give Norm a call.
there you go. Absolutely. Well, I love these guys, and I
We
can't
love you
thank them
too.
enough. And, I'm so blessed in my store to have some of the finest musicians in the world come through. And, of course, there's a few of us one-namers like Freebo, Dweezil, Norm, Slash, Cher.
There you go. And Norm, I gotta say, and just I don't mean to embarrass you, but and thank you for those compliments. But what you do for us is really beautiful, where you give us a spotlight and you appreciate the musicality, because you're an old school guy, and you know music. You're an encyclopedia of really cool stuff, and I admire you and I respect you. But particularly just the fact that you've created this and you bring it to people, and that we can walk into your store, do a song, and 50,000 people go,
Yeah.
wow, that was pretty cool. So
We're grateful
thank you
for
so
you.
And
much for that.
50 million people should be saying that, because you guys are really the real thing. And I mean it. It's really a pleasure for me to be able to bring some people like yourselves to the general public that's hearing all this process stuff and all that now, and to know what the real thing is and what a musician is who plays an instrument and sings, it's a different concept than what's going on right now.
I want people to know that there are folks in their 20s like me making real music. Like,
we're
don't
not the only
despair.
ones. We're not the only
it's
ones.
happening out
yeah,
there.
it is, and you have to look for it, But I'd like to think, and again, I'm not trying to disparage the other stuff. It is what it is, but this is what it is, and we're proud of it.
Well, the folks in the 20s that are doing it, I'm glad to hear that some of them are. Us folks in the hundreds,
Worry about that, old Norm, come on.
I'm glad, one thing I'm glad I still have, what's left is my hearing, and I can hear good music.
Your what?
When I can hear good music with my ears, and let me tell you, these guys are really good, and I'm going to do everything I can to bring you some of the best players. I hope you enjoy these podcasts, and I hope you follow us on the All Guitar Network. Freebo and Alice Howe have done some videos on the All Guitar Network that I love. They've done some stuff at the store. Just go to their social media, check out when they're playing. You're going to get your money's worth anytime they're playing. So thank you guys for listening. We love you guys, and you check in for the next podcast. But Freebo and Alice Howe, I'm blessed to have you guys here.
Thank you,
Thank you
Norm.
so much.
So good to be here.
Thank
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
No.